say whatever, it doesn't matter.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Hey, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated. And by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com. And by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarola, Mayor for the city, and yes, we're live this afternoon as we most of the time. We miss a couple times where we have to reprogram a show repeat, but very few times. Anyway, we're live this afternoon. Our phone number has not changed. It's 978-534-1626. It will be here for the whole hour. We have a number of guests today, so we will move quickly and lots of information to share with you as we go through the next hour. Just an update on a couple of things. The Johnny Appleseed Festival, Rick Marchand and Bob Healy will be here in just a couple of minutes as our guest. But I want to remind you, it's rain or shine. It's a big fair, very difficult to reschedule or to delay. And so it's showtime. And listen, it's New England, it's rain, it's nothing. You know, we've had snowstorms. You saw the storm we had the other day. And nothing stops us. So we will be out there this Saturday. Also, Jocelyn Farms, 10 to 5. It's a big weekend up there as well. 10 to 5 every day. They made it really easy for you to support your orchard. That is your orchard. Get up there and support it. And important things. All right, here we go. Hamilton Street is open. They're supposed to be out there right now blacktopping on Lawrence Street. It was in rough shape this morning. Monday, Tuesday, let's see, most of last week it was closed. It is open, but they're paving. So it could be a little delay there this afternoon. The bridge on let's see, Exchange Street, the bridge near Colonial Drive. A company was there today. That bridge was closed off, deemed unsafe. What they've done is they've pumped concrete, this liquid expandable concrete under the bridge to form like bases or structures underneath it. So we will get that open again. I'm not sure when, they haven't told me yet, but thank you to all our partners at MassDOT. I went out to the meeting yesterday at MassDOT for our regular monthly meeting, just to personally thank everyone at MassDOT for all of the assistance they've provided to us over the last week now and a half. So yes, so we want to make sure we thank them. Pleasant Street, we're still analyzing and assessing the situation there, which is the best way to move forward. But they are working, they're burying utilities. We're trying to create a sort of temporary bridge to get people to and from. That's a little bit of a detour up there. And the road behind the high school to get to those 3 houses off of Exchange Street. On the front of Exchange Street, they provided services and utilities back to those homes. And now we're running a road up from the back of the high school. They should be out there paving. It's like 1,000 feet long. Rear road's gone, parking garage is open, and Lancaster Street is open. It needs some work. Some of these streets need work, but we needed to get them open just so they're safe. And then on a number of situations, we're trying to help people get back into their homes if they lost electrical or heating systems. The last thing I'll say for this segment before we take on our next guest is if you lost a hot water tank, maybe a heating system, or the heating system needs some work now as a result, call our office, 534-7500, extension 0, and ask for the Ellen Racine. That's the Community Development Block Grant Office. You may qualify for our federal funds that we have. That's just regular money that comes into the city every year from the federal government. You may qualify for that. If you don't, you're going to be referred back to our office. But let's start there, and you may find some assistance there. You may find that you're income eligible. You're eligible to receive those funds, and we'll get you up and running as soon as possible. All right, so we have guests. We want to take a short break, and we will be right back here at Inside Leominster, 978-1626.
The Red Cross has been here since Monday evening when the rain started and the flooding really got bad.
Please don't come out. Please. just going to be in the way. And there's still a lot of traffic out here, I'm not sure. And people are probably trying to get off the highway. See that? That was the sidewalk. That's the sidewalk above it. And the water is just gushing.
We started out with sheltering. So the immediate needs for the people of Leominster was a safe place to rest and recover, get some warm meals, and just make sure that they had somewhere to go. So that was our immediate priority. We did that until Wednesday. On Wednesday, we closed the shelters. Yesterday, we were here distributing cleanup kits. Those are for those people who have significant damage, usually in their basement or the low-lying areas, and these kits help them clean up. It's got a gallon of bleach, mop, broomsticks, brushes, sponges, heavy-duty garbage bags, gloves, etc. We're also doing damage assessments throughout the community, driving around, seeing which properties are heavily impacted, and see if we can provide any additional assistance after that. We've had a lot of people come out and ask, how can I help? We've had people try to donate food, try to donate clothing, and the good thing is that Leominster has a good network of organizations that can help support that, from the Salvation Army to there's a food pantry called Ginny's Food Pantry, etc. So everybody has come together to help those who need it. Team Rubicon is a national volunteer, veteran-led and veteran-formed organization. They do a lot of the hard work. So a lot of muck work, helping people clean out debris, helping people clean out mud, water, etc. when they've been impacted by natural disasters. At the moment, the assistance that we can provide is making sure that we get everybody's name and phone number, understand what their immediate needs are, and see if we as the Red Cross or any of our partner organizations can help address those needs.
All right, we're back here at Inside Leominster, and thanks for joining us. We're live this afternoon, and my first guest is Eugina Jordan. Did I say that right?
Yes.
I want to make sure I say your name correctly. CMO of TIP. TIP stands for Telecom Infra Project. And we read an article about you. Said, this sounds interesting. Let's get her on the show and talk about, what it is that you do.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Dean. But before I start talking about what I do, I want to thank you for your leadership last week. And you showed through 27, 28 years that you've been a mayor, you showed love and care. But last week, it was extraordinary. And I wish every person in the government took care of their people the way you did take care of Leominster last week.
Well, thank you. We have a great team. We do. We have a great team, a superb team. Thank you.
It takes a leader.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of people behind me, and there's plenty of room on the stage, right? For us all to take a bow. All right, so you started this sort of leadership experience in marketing. It all kind of blends into one, doesn't it?
It does. And that's why you're being too modest when you, because I wrote a book about laws of leadership.
Right.
And leaders that come from underrepresented backgrounds, for example, I'm an immigrant and I'm a female.
Right.
We tend to believe that our work is going to speak for ourselves. That doesn't happen.
Right.
So I started in my industry as a secretary. I moved here in 2000. The job market collapsed in 2001 after 9/11. And the only job that was available was a receptionist. You worked your way up too.
Sure.
Right?
That's the best way to do it, right?
Exactly. So I started as a receptionist and then became an overnight success 23 years later as a chief marketing officer.
And we all need marketing, don't we? And do you particularly is part of your passion to help women with marketing in their businesses or just marketing themselves?
And yes, so if we look at data, there is not enough women in leadership positions. There is only 12%. And I'm going to put something on you as well, because when I drive around Leominster, I see this beautiful, legendary Leominster. How many women are on there?
A lot. You haven't seen them all. There's 26 names more, and a lot of them are women. But a lot of them are. Yeah.
But how many, right? So the percentage is in leadership positions,
Yeah, yeah.
or it's smaller.
Do you
So-
think many times maybe people aren't ready for it just yet? I mean, personally, they're like, they're just not ready to do it personally in their own, as they take on different roles in life, that maybe, they're waiting longer. Because at City Hall, I realized the other day, the whole first floor, there's 2 males, me and the assistant.
Exactly.
The assistant.
Exactly.
That's just 2 of us.
So, but it's actually, it takes a leader. So in my book, I talk about it takes a village for people like me become leaders so we can sit on the stage with
Right.
you
Yes.
or others. So you became, to those women, you became a sponsor. You mentioned their name in the room. You gave them interesting projects to work on.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, they
So
make me look good. They know that.
But also,
They're leaders. Trust me, they're leaders. They wouldn't be there unless they have certain qualities that really are leadership. They may not run around with a poster that said, I'm a leader or have it on their name tag, but they are.
So you're absolutely right. Women, we don't talk about our accomplishments, and that's why we need people that would talk about us
Right,
and
right.
our accomplishments.
Right.
Because our work doesn't talk about ourselves.
Right.
So I work in a very interesting space. It's telecom. So we are worse than oil and gas for gender diversity or any type of other diversity.
Right.
So last year, I'm going to tell you a little story. I almost got fired from my previous position because when I looked at one of the social media posts, I saw there was a lot of men on the panel, and I knew some amazing women that could have come on the panel. So I commented that they need to do better.
Right. Let's get out and make this board look more like the community it represents, right?
Right.
Or our customers.
Yes.
Right?
So if someone on your team called someone out and offered help, would you ask them to remove that LinkedIn comment?
No, not at all. I'd say, you know what? You're right. We're going to do a better job, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was asked to remove that LinkedIn comment by my boss. And I said, no.
Yeah. And the answer to that is they should have said, you know what? You're right. We got to do a better job of this. And, there's so much talent. I was saying with the storm, and I went to my I'm on the board at Mastar, and I went to my meeting yesterday. I wanted to go. I had to go, and I just wanted to thank everybody. And there's so much talent in these organizations. And, it's public sector, so sometimes you take the hit, you're the butt of all jokes and all that. But it's for instance, the acting secretary is a female, right? I mean, so she's in a very high leadership. The governors and the lieutenant governors, right? I mean, I'm just saying, so we're beginning to see that. But I think a lot of it is what you're exposed to at a young age. So if you were brought up in a neighborhood where no one ever knew that you could get an education and then do something else other than maybe work in a factory or work in a hotel, whatever, which aren't bad jobs, then you don't know about that. But today, I bet you 4 dump trucks went by, big dump trucks. Guess who's running those?
Women.
That's right. But I think most, as young girls or ladies or women, thought, geez, I could never do that. I don't know of anybody else that does. And it takes one person to say, oh, she does, and I didn't know that I could do something like that. So,
So what you're describing is if you can see them,
right.
you can be them.
And which is, I say, you got to expose young kids to everything. Expose them to everything. They'll find something they're really excited about, something they're passionate about, and they'll do very well at it. But you got to expose them, right? Things they've never seen. How would they ever know? I can tell you about the Grand Canyon, right? But I can't do a good job explaining it to you. It's this big hole in the ground. I don't know. That's the Grand Canyon. 978-534-1626. You won the Outstanding Achievement Diversity in Tech GLOMO Award by the GSMA at Mount Wachusett Community College. Is that what it was?
It's Mobile World Congress.
Okay.
It's the largest industry event in telecom.
In 2023, you have a master's in teaching in Moscow Pedagogy. What is it?
It's a teacher's college.
Teachers College.
Yes.
and at CDI College in Toronto, Canada. So you keep going. You always want to learn and expand. All right, 3 things, because we've got so many guests today. 3 things.
Yep.
Somebody said, a lady, a woman, a girl, there's somebody young sitting there right now and they're watching, or they're going to catch us later. 3 things you would tell them right now.
I'm going to look in there because
Yes.
I'm looking at you ladies.
All right.
Number 1, the only person that can limit you is you, no one else. Number 2, everything that you need to succeed in life is already inside of you. And number 3, don't ever stop believing that you can do it.
There you go. And always smile. Notice she's always smile. When you smile, you just put out this aura of success, confidence, leadership, right? But if you have a frown on your face, you can have all the degrees in the world you want. If you walk around looking miserable all day, nobody wants any part. You might be the nicest person in the world. So I had a number 4, smile.
Number 4, yes.
Smile, let people know. Well, thank you very much. And how are you doing with your book?
I'm doing really good. So
I bet.
For every copy sold, I donate a copy to organizations that help people like me, females, immigrants, and I've been shipping them all over the country. I shipped a whole bunch to Canada.
Wow.
So
Exciting. Good for you.
So like you said, right, we making sure that we bring diverse talent and allow that diverse talent to blossom.
Right.
I made a book for you because I
don't
wanted...
walk too far. You're going to take the microphone
That's okay.
with you. Okay.
So that's one for you.
Thank you.
And that's one for Leominster.
All right.
Because...
We'll make sure that gets shared in the right spot.
Yep.
There it is. You can get your own book. How do people get it? Can they get it on?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
There you go.
Yep.
Don't stop at anything. You heard it right here. The 17 proven laws for success in a workplace not designed for you. There you go. That's a good way. A good way to come at it, right? We're taking a short break here, and we'll be right back here at 978-534-1626. All right, here we are. We're back here at Inside Leominster, and 30th year of the Johnny Appleseed, the world famous Johnny Appleseed festivals. This started out with like maybe 20 or 30 vendors at the most, 220 vendors. And Rick Marchand, who's been organizing this for how many years is it for you?
This is the 25th.
You're eligible like a pension.
Oh,
and
my
Bob
God.
Healy, who puts together some fantastic, it's tradition to have Bob Healy up there putting together some fantastic musicians from all over. And they'll be there, and it's rain or shine. I said it before. People keep asking me all day. I'm like, it's rain or shine. It's New England. You'll have fun. Get one of those plastic bags or something. Everybody's got a raincoat. You open people's You go into somebody's house and they open one of these closets with coats in it. There's 850 coats in it. Gloves, coats, right? All kinds of raincoats and everything. Come on out, dress warm, come out. You're gonna have a ball. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What do we need to know this year, other than the fact that I don't even know if we can get around to it? It's going to take all day to get 220.
It's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
And we all need it as a city of Leominster.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
I think, not just Bob and I, but the whole city. I heard your earlier guest thank you about all the work that you've done with your administration this past week. But really, it was really about you and your leadership and also your administrative team and all the workers behind the scenes that put the city back together so we could have such an event.
Yeah.
So it's become more of a 30th year celebration.
Right.
It's more of a celebration of community.
That's what I said. Seeing with the community how people reached out. $5 for a donation, 10, 15, quarters, dimes, nickels to help somebody else out, a neighbor. I've heard so many stories. I wish I was able to get all these stories later on, and we probably will, just so we could put it.
Have somebody do that.
So we could put these together later and say, this is the behind-the-scenes story of kindness and generosity.
And it's not just adults, it's the kids too.
Oh, yeah.
An example of that, Mayor, the girls' soccer team has been phenomenal the last few years with the leadership of their previous coach, the new coach, the parents that are involved with the girls. And as you probably know, they went from a season, 2 years, they won one game, to now they're in districts every year. That's amazing from a competition.
Absolutely incredible.
But student athletes, they're great students too. And they stepped up and they wanted to come down and help us out. And I asked them, well, what can I do for you? And it was, no, we just want to help you out. So we assigned them to helping out in the parking lot. They're helping with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They're helping with the Rotary Club, giving out meals. And the captains are coming down with some of the parents at 6 o'clock in the morning to help vendors be located.
Yep.
And they were going to run the traditional 50-50 that we run every year. And I said to them, I want you to keep 50, and then give 50 to the winner. That's going to be your task for the day. And without even asking, they turned around and said, we want to donate that 50 that was coming to us to the Leominster Relief Fund. Isn't that amazing?
That's something. It's hard for them to raise money with all the different groups raising money.
Exactly. So they're giving up a chance to raise money in their own booth.
Right.
To be able to raise money for the city. I think that's so commendable.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
It says a lot about the student athletes of Leominster High, in particular the soccer girls, but it's the whole atmosphere in the community of people wanting to give back and do the best they can.
That's what the definition of community is, right?
Absolutely.
Bob, I mean, I know you're a planner. You plan ahead. You just got off the summer series here, so so I know you've got some music all lined up. Any theme that you picked in particular this year?
Not just the big band does a lot of the favorites, of the 40s and 50s, and I have young Rory Young singing with us this year.
Oh, that's exciting!
And
Coming back.
He's a big Sinatra and Bobby Darin fan.
Is he really?
So those are the kind of songs he wants to sing.
Yeah. And you're like, guess what?
I
we like to play it.
Oh yeah. No, it's going to be a fun gig. The musicians really enjoy it every year, and they come from all. You're right. They come from all around. A couple of guys, pretty good travel
Best
distance.
of the best. You know what I think is interesting? I always watch the band, and they're very excited. Obviously, right? Any performer or anybody that does anything in the arts is always sort of their reward is their response.
Oh, absolutely.
Their biofeedback, their mirror image of what's going on, and they see everybody how excited and how much they love the music, and they just get so thrilled.
Oh yeah.
They get thrilled, right?
That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you share some of the other things happening on the stage?
Sure.
We have 2 stages, by the way.
Oh, you do?
This is the main one.
The main stage, which is next to City Hall, is the Leominster High School Chorus. It starts off, directed by Arthur Pierce. They'll be the first group up. And then at 9:30, the high school marching band will be on stage and in front of the stage, and with Bobby Bergeron.
Yeah.
And then they have a whole group of soloists apparently that Arthur Pierce is in charge of from high school.
You should see that he's been grooming some talent.
Oh,
some talented kids.
So they'll do a half hour there, and then there's a preparation for Cara Brandisi, but then the veterans course will be there at 11.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Always have them. They're always they do a great job. And then there's a special presentation at 12, and then Cara Brandisi has a band now with her.
Oh, wow. Hey.
So she's got on from 12 to 1:30. Then the Johnny Appleseed Big Band goes on at 2 o'clock. 2 to 4, and then Mark Monacola with his full Monty.
Full Monty.
We'll close it out.
Boy, I tell you,
4 to 5.
he's got a couple sax players himself.
Oh, yeah,
They got a horn
absolutely.
section.
Yeah. There were some pretty big time musicians
They-
with his group.
Yeah.
He
His
goes out
son
and
plays
gets
the
them.
drums. They
right.
played over at Carter Park this year, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, they went on till he went a couple extra songs because people were really enjoying themselves.
Oh, yeah.
It went on till like 9:15, 9:20, and people didn't
Yeah.
want to go home. They were all pumped up.
amazing.
So
They have some good people in there.
know,
a good
amazing.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Don't listen. You wake up, it's a little mist. That's nothing
No.
compared to the work that Rick and Bob and all of the volunteers. I saw Rick out there last week measuring booths. This is last weekend
Oh,
with his
God.
tape measure. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And like musicians and performers, they get that positive feedback. Rick's positive feedback is having everybody come and have a good time.
Absolutely.
So put the funny hat on, put your little raincoat on, come on down, right? There's something for everybody.
Absolutely. So a couple key initiatives, if I
Because I'm
may.
worried about making it to every booth.
That's right. I know. It's going to be a great, plus you're going to be busy as
There's some
stuff.
great food down there. too.
Yeah.
You have to be on the stage, by the way, quarter
12
of 12.
o'clock.
So just
12,
a note on
quarter
that.
to 12.
Quarter
Okay.
of, quarter
Yeah,
of.
a quarter of,
So
okay.
Cara Brandisi, who we know was on The Voice season 22, she's doing an hour-and-a-half show for us, which is going to be phenomenal.
She was great last year.
Yep, absolutely great. And Cara's actually teaming up with a young lady. Her name is Kelsey, and she is a Make-A-Wish recipient who's battling a rare form of cancer. Last week, she was at one of the last games at Fenway Park, sang the anthem.
Come on.
She was at the Woo Sox a few days before that doing God Bless America. So it's actually Healy she's going to be teaming up with.
And what time is that?
That's going to be happening right at 12 sharp.
12, okay.
And
good.
Cara, to us, I mean, the name Joe Brandisi rings a bell.
Yeah.
And Joe was a outstanding percussionist. Who played with Kyle Pamarini and his family and a few others here in town. So, we're going to Cara's dedicating her performance to her grandfather Joe that recently passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We also have an initiative that took place, May, and this is what Leominster is all about. The Life Care Center donated enough food, hamburgers, hot dogs, cheeseburgers, sausage, French fries, all the fixings, for us to be able to put together 1,700 barbecue meals.
Wow.
The 1,700 meals are given to families, individuals, few sponsors and their companies to give them complimentary. So we've reached out to the entire area. We have, like, for example, one particular program, a shelter on Main Street
Yep.
in Tolman Ave that's coming down with the entire group,
Yep.
Orchard Street and a few others. And what's happening is the Rotary Club's doing all the cooking, and then AIS Office Furniture, as you know, and other area sponsors have donated enough money to actually present a check for $10,000 to the Rotary Club.
Wow.
As a result of them not charging the 1,700 meals, which is
Jeez.
pretty generous.
That's pretty.
And they're turning around, they're giving the money back to the city, as you know.
Wow.
So it's just a perfect circle of partnership
This is incredible.
about giving back. Isn't that awesome?
People have been amazing. We got a call. I got a call from John Clemente yesterday, and he said, "I know you guys will make sure the money gets to the right place. I'm
Yeah.
gonna send a check for 50,000."
Oh, my God. I
Yeah.
mean, he's just...
And 10,000 coming from this
Yeah.
initiative. And
Yeah.
then Ron Bouchard's
Yeah.
called and said, "You know what? We want to help out, right?
Yeah.
We've been really fortunate. We heard what happened. We have a lot of employees that live here, and we want to give 50,000."
Yeah.
Can you believe this stuff?
It's unbelievable.
But yet we
You
had
know.
somebody come in the other day, 2 people that that walk every day in downtown Leominster,
Yep.
very unassuming. I kid them all the time. They walked in with a check for $5,000.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we've had people come in with $5 and
it's
10
amazing.
because
Yep.
that's what they can afford.
Yeah.
That 5
Yeah.
is as good as 50, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So this is
Yeah.
going to be a big event. 220 booths, something for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah.
And just outstanding. I
Yeah.
can't wait. And next year, let's remind everybody, next year is the big one.
That's the big one. We're looking forward to that one if we can make it.
Yeah.
If we make it that far, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big anniversary. So it's Johnny Appleseed's 250th
Yes,
birthday.
this is
right.
big time.
So, we're all into this together as a team. We're doing parades
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be
ball
fun.
at the library,
Mark
all
wrote
kinds
the
of
book.
things.
Mark wrote the book in
wrote the
advance.
book.
Oh, yeah.
Curriculum
And
in the
it's all
schools.
coming together. It's
It's going to be
fun.
awesome. What's interesting, the First Baptist Church is making their world famous apple crisp, and Artie was telling me this today that they're actually celebrating their 200th anniversary next year as well.
Wow, how exciting.
So
there you
there's going
go.
to be some great things happening, but in Rain and Shine, we're going to celebrate right now.
If Bob looks familiar, it's because he was my 8th grade math teacher at May Gallagher. And I got to tell you, I mean, obviously, in Ralph Case's family, they had a major sort of loss in their family. They lost his grandson.
Yeah.
In the midst of all that, I had been talking to Bob one day, and then, I mean, talking to Ralph one day, and it clicked in my brain. I said, Ralph, remember the presidential award? Fitness award?
That's right.
And he said, yeah. I said, just made me click in my mind. All of a sudden, I had this vision of running down School Street on the sidewalk, doing the 50-yard dash.
There was a whole thing.
And I
too.
said,
Yeah.
I said, that was like the most important thing to me my whole life, like for achievement-wise. I don't know why. It was like a big deal. Because when you're in the 7th, 8th, very competitive. Kids are very competitive, right? They're very critical, but they're very competitive. So
Absolutely.
I said, Bob, I said, Ralph, I said, you remember that? How, that was like a big deal.
Oh, that was a big
I said,
deal, sure.
I kept that my whole life. I don't know what happened to it. I lost it, misled it. So anyway, I got a call from him and John LaStella, and it was the same week that his grandson passed away. And they said, hey, we want to meet you over at Brady's. And I said, sure, I'll meet you there at noon. So I wasn't sure what it's about. We talk about a lot of things and fundraising for this and fundraising for that. And then all of a sudden Ralph gets up and he's got an envelope, and I opened it up, and it's a replication of my presidential
award?
Yeah. And I said, that's gold to me. But the most important thing is he was suffering his own loss, and he took the time because he knew it was important to me. That's community. You understand?
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
Ralph's a legend.
And you know what? Bob and probably the greatest generation of teachers we ever had, starting with Mr. Gary and what was his name? The military guy downstairs. Mr. Ginnity. I mean, they're making brilliant teachers today, no question about it. But that was a special time.
We had a very close thing.
Oh my God.
Mr. Savatelli was the
Group of
principal,
teachers.
and
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Johnson taught us printing, and Mr.
amazing, huh?
Hesterbrook.
Those are some of the
my
best
God.
years I had in education.
Yeah.
Those years at Gallagher.
Did you wear gym uniforms
This is
back
true.
then?
306.
Oh, sure.
I have the shirt.
The green gym
Yeah,
uniform.
I'll wear it on Saturday, and you can see.
That's awesome.
You know who did the shirts for me?
Who?
Ralph.
Oh,
Ralph and
my
John
God.
LaStella. They say that the years I went to May Gallagher, I have some green shirts and some white ones. If you see me with them, I'm always wearing them. They're just shirts like this.
That's awesome.
And they say 306 because that was the number of my gym shorts.
Yeah.
So
If I
that's
may-
what I say. If anybody recognizes Bob, he looks the same.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk about things for about 10 hours
I know.
here, but if I could just mention one important factor
Yes.
with the festival left, the community pretty much knows what's happening.
Yeah.
With the $10 all-day pass for the
Right,
kids in the
right.
parking lot. Parking's always an issue.
Yeah.
And we're asking people just carpool down, park
Yeah.
wherever you can. Rain or shine, just walking in. However, for anyone that has a handicap plate, for someone that needs to drop off a senior citizen, for someone that just had an operation or might be
Right.
in a wheelchair on crutches, we do have a parking lot that's secured. 2 of them actually.
Yep.
One of them is the parking lot between the First Baptist Church and the First Church Unitarian. You can
Yep.
access it off Merriam Ave.
Perfect.
And the second one, knowing that we were going to need some assistance with parking, we put off having the petting zoo and pony ride this year, and we opened that up as well. So you could actually come down West Street
Turn in there.
and turn right in there.
Perfect.
We're asking though that people don't take advantage of that.
right.
So we have Make-A-Wish people going into that parking lot.
Awesome.
Some of the staff that'll be setting up downtown
we
working.
found that if you don't provide that,
Yeah.
people won't come anymore. And
Right.
we as an experiment, we did it during the Italian Fest, and we blocked that whole parking lot off.
Yep.
And so many people, the whole lot was filled. Now, typically that would, think about it, right? If you have to go to an event and then you got to try to get to, somewhere else and there's no park. So wonderful.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
So we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
There is a bank downtown. They do have spaces available. They do charge a fee.
Yeah.
They're shut down for the day, so
Yeah.
you could park close there as well. And we're also encouraging, you can drop people off right in front of Monument Square where the buses drop off.
Yeah.
So that could be a drop-off point, a pickup point.
Leave somebody off.
Yeah.
Go park.
We're going to have plenty of police officers on campus, emergency management, fire department, DPW. And if I may just run through the list of sponsors and recognize them too. The sponsors of this year's event, besides the city of Leominster and all the work that all the departments do. AIS Office Furniture, Roma Joe's, Avidia Bank, Bank Hometown, Bathbusters, Brennan Staffing, Congressman McGovern, DeCarolis Insurance Agency, Enterprise Bank, Fidelity Bank, Health Alliance, IC Federal Credit Union, Leominster Credit Union, the Leominster Cultural Council is our premier sponsor, Liberty Rental Corp, Life Care Center, Medicare, TMP, Paul and Valerie Brennan themselves, Pleasant View Parties. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, no.
You have no idea how important that is.
Oh, yes.
And what happens is that not only are we getting a discount, they're giving half for free.
Yeah.
And they're bringing an additional few more.
Yeah, they're outstanding.
Sanitizing stations,
Yep.
handicap toilets,
Yep.
family toilets. Also, Richardson Funeral Home, Rosestone Bank, the Rotary Club, Gagney Family, TJB Plumbing, Webster First. Special thank you to the social media director, Richard Tucker, that's been working
Yeah,
on this for
does a
10
great
months.
job.
Our sound guy, Mike Ventura, that's held the price steady for us forever.
Yeah,
Yep.
for a couple of years. yeah.
LHS music program and chorus are phenomenal. I mentioned the girls soccer program, the school teachers in the public schools and schools around the surrounding area. Sally Poirier with her green thumb,
Yep.
sprucing up the whole area. All-Star Party Renter, who's taken over everything this year.
Mm-hmm.
We also, the City Hall staff, the clerk's office, the mayor's office, comptroller, treasurer, I mean, they've been phenomenal.
Good.
And then, without, I mean, the DPW, emergency management,
Yeah, rec
we can't do it
department.
without rec
No,
department.
everybody chips in. That's how we do it.
It's a real
Yeah.
team effort.
Well,
So
thank
that's
you.
the key. It's a team effort.
Thank you, because if you put this thing down, I don't know what we'll do. So you've done a great job, and I know how you do it, but it's magic, and you make it happen, and so many people enjoy it. I know it's exhausting, and at the end of this, you're like, well, I don't know if I could do another year, but
Yeah.
look at the feedback you get. All right,
It's
we're going to
great.
take a short, thank you both for coming on,
okay.
and I think we'll do a video on Saturday morning. I'll grab you, and we'll do a video
Yeah,
live.
absolutely.
So that way we can tell people a little bit more about
Yep.
what's going on while it's
Perfect.
fresh in their
Thank
mind.
you, that's
All right,
awesome.
we're taking a short break, and we'll be right back here at 978-534-1626.
We started, First Baptist Church actually started in 1993, serving our homemade apple crisp to our community. So we'll start, I guess, down at the end, where all the apples are. They're washed and dried and now ready to go out and be peeled. And this is about half of what we started. We started with about 85 bushels. Bakery items, and we pre-bag everything. And we're able to grab what we need very quickly to make our batches up because it's all pre-measured. All pans. The biggest problem is that everything is measured out. These will be going into the oven, and after they're very cool, then the cover goes on, and this is ready for the day of the festival.
That apple crisp is the best in the entire universe. I've tried it. It's like, I'm a calamari connoisseur. I've tried calamari everywhere and anywhere I've ever gone. And apple crisp is just incredible. And look how much, you see how much they make? Anyway, this afternoon, so we've got, maybe, what does it say? It says we got about 18 minutes to go here at Inside Leominster. If you have any questions, again, 978-534-1626. I'll try to leave a minute at the end just to update you on what's happening. And, around town here, it's storm related. But if you have any questions, City Hall's open tonight till 5:30, so 978-534-7500, extension 0. And so my friend and professional photographer, Jocelyn Augustino, is here. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
I've been
having
trying to
me.
get you on forever. Like it's one of those my people got to talk to your people who have to then talk to other people. But,
And then you had that disaster
I know.
last week, which I was looking forward to coming on last week, but glad I can still be here. I do want to say Johnny Appleseed had such a huge part in my life.
Really?
When I used to collect my quarters and everything that I would get from, your grandparents throw you change,
Yeah.
you do like a little chore. My Johnny Appleseed little passbook that I would bring to the bank on,
yeah.
with my
Fill in the
parents.
quarters
Fill in
and
the
stuff.
quarters, and I
Yeah.
would bring it and have $2, right?
That's
back
awesome.
in the day.
See?
Yeah.
Johnny Appleseed. He's going to be 250. He looks the same when I
Yeah,
see
right.
pictures of him. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about like people, when I talk to people and have a conversation, they're like, well, does she do like birds and wildlife and all that? And I'm like, nah, that's kind of not like what she does. And I know you brought some pictures tonight, which are like, you got to have an eye for this stuff, right? I mean, you do. You have to have an eye to capture some of the stuff that you capture because it requires no words. It's just, it tells a story in and of itself.
Right, your photos are your words. Right?
How the heck did you develop? I mean, is this natural, or are you always messing around with a camera, the one with the soap thing and put in the tub or something? I mean, what happened?
My interest in photography was always there. I think when I was in high school, I enjoyed photography. But it really sparked when I was living in France my junior year in college. I went to Simmons College here in Massachusetts. And I wanted to spend the summer, extend my stay there in Paris. And I needed some sort of excuse. And I told my mom I was going to take a photography class, which was the truth. I'm sure she's watching. But yes, it was true. I took a photography class and I really enjoyed it. It really resonated. So I got back to Simmons, took a documentary photography class. And really the one project I did, and this was back in the early 90s, I did a project with a person with AIDS. It was a documentary project. And it made me realize that my camera was this amazing tool to get into places where I would have no business being. And so I think, that's...
Within inches of places
yes,
that
within
you should
inches,
never...
that I should never be, right?
No, but nobody else has been in some cases.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. I mean, the camera is just an amazing
But
tool.
you got to know how to use it. You got to know what to look for, and you got to kind of capture the right things at the very right second. Because that second is gone, and it never can be. You can't ask people because you don't have people posing for your photographs.
No.
Your photography is action, right? It's
a lot of it, yes. And I
Yeah.
think the thing is, you have to have intuition.
Right.
I think a big part of it is intuition,
that
where
sixth sense.
yeah, or you a lot of times, especially in photojournalism, and as you all know, I do a lot of work with politicians and cover major big events. You just always have to be aware, right? Like you have to be very aware of your surroundings, and you have to be very patient. And I personally never feel as though I have enough patience, but I think for a lot of people,
Let's look. I don't know. Are you guys ready? All right. Let's look at. And you can talk through it. It's fine. Let's take a look at some of this. So here we are talking about it. Let's actually see it. Tell us what's going on here.
This is just an amazing moment when Congresswoman at the time, or actually Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, just found out from Rahm Emanuel, who was a congressman also.
On the left. Yeah.
He actually had just come in to we were at the election, the election night party. And he had just come in to tell her that they had won, and she was going to be the first female speaker
of the House.
And that was the first female speaker of the House in the history of America.
And you captured, and
I captured it.
That
and
took
I will tell
2
you,
seconds.
2 seconds. It was like
it's over.
3 shots.
Yeah.
3 shots,
bang,
and
bang, bang.
one the flash doesn't go off. The second nailed it. I mean, it was just this amazing moment.
But look at everybody else's face behind it. They were part of that whole experience, the whole victory thing, seeing those two come together and high-fiving each other. And all right, let's get to some more.
But I'll tell you, when I was in there, I mean, none of us knew. Like, when he was coming in, you didn't know that this was happening. So he comes in, you see, and you're like, oh, gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
It wasn't set up.
Bam.
Well, were you retained by either one of them?
Yeah. So at the time, I was doing a behind-the-scenes project. It was kind of leading up to the election and around that
Yeah.
around that time. I was doing a lot of work with the Democratic Congressional Campaign
Yeah.
Committee.
All right, let's look at another one here. Oh, this is heartbreaking.
Yeah, right. And so this is actually in Gardner. So this was at the beginning of my career, and I just, and again, this was a 3-shot deal. I remember. I mean, I can feel. I look at this picture and I can feel what was happening. And this is Bob Newton, who was a firefighter in Gardner, and I was working. So I started off my career at the Fitchburg Sentinel.
That's right. That's
and then I went to the Gardner News, and then I was at the
See,
Worcester.
just what she said at the
Yeah,
beginning
right?
here. The world is your platform,
It is.
right?
And so I was at the Gardner News at the time, and it was a Saturday morning, and I have to tell you, I don't remember how people would get in touch with me. Like, I must have had, I mean, I don't think I had a pager, but,
Right.
that was so before, I hate to date myself,
Yeah.
but so before cell phones,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I remember getting this call that I had to be at this fire on Nickel Street, and I knew, I used to write for the Gardner News in addition to taking pictures, but photography was my main thing. And I just, I knew a lot of the firefighters and the fire chief, and they said, hey, keep your eye on that side door. One of the guys is going to come out. And I expected him to come out with some children that were in the fire who
Right.
ended up perishing in the fire. And I remember, taking up my camera and, I see the action coming. It's click, 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 like a slow, deliberate. And on the third click, I realized what was happening, that
Yeah.
there was, that was not really the picture I wanted. I
Right.
wanted the picture of
Kids
kids
saved.
coming out, right? And the thing is,
couldn't
it just
get to them. That's
no.
a face of.
Oh,
I
it-
did
yeah.
everything I could.
Yeah,
to just
and they
not
did.
Yeah, and I couldn't. All right, let's see some more.
So this is from Mayfield, Kentucky, and I do a lot of work with the Federal Emergency Management Agency as a
Yep.
photographer, and I've been, I started with them back in 1995 as a reservist, and so I get deployed, to a variety of disasters all around the country. And this particular image was at an old American Legion. Like, you remember, I'm sure
Yeah,
there were
of
like
course.
American Legions where they would
Sure.
have, it was a stage. And
So the stage, the back of the stage is gone.
is blown out, and it just plays with your mind a little bit,
like,
know,
wow.
because
Is that just a backdrop up there? No, that's the neighborhood it's
yeah,
it was in.
that's the neighborhood. And I think, photographing disasters is often like that. Like,
Yeah.
I know when I left the area and decided not.
Let's show another picture while we're talking. Go ahead.
So when I kind of left the area, I really didn't want to do spot news. Like, I was not really thinking spot news was the way I wanted to go. And it's just amazing that a huge part of my career has been photographing natural disasters.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of that work because those images become part of the National Archives. So they will live on forever, telling the story of America at its,
Yeah.
hardest moments.
Right. Somebody. All right. Let's.
Okay,
what
so this
the heck?
is.
I mean.
So if you want
let's
to
go back one.
Yeah. So this was actually at the Democratic National
Convention?
Convention, yes. I think that was down in Charlotte. It had to be Charlotte, and it just was this really cool moment that President Clinton, who I had done a lot of work, I think when you and I first met,
Yeah.
down in DC.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing work, for different agencies
Yeah.
in DC, and I had done some work with President Clinton, and I had also done some work with President Obama during the midterm elections and during, covering him a little bit
Right.
during the presidential campaign. But at this time, I was doing a behind-the-scenes project for the DNC, and this just was this cool moment, of
So you're
President
not
Clinton.
1,000 feet away. You're like right there.
I was up in the behind, but
Yeah.
I liked that some of my competitors said, "Oh, you got the shot."
Yeah. All right. Let's just see the next one. I was curious as to what the next
Yeah.
one was here.
Yeah, so this one, I've done a lot of work with Governor Jared Polis out of Colorado.
Yep.
And I don't typically do. Oh wait, so this was actually at his inauguration when he became the first openly gay governor elected in the history of America. And again, it was this 3-shot deal. I mean, I got to tell you, it's like you think you get one shot. I mean, you do only get one shot.
You could make it
That
complicated.
is actually only one shot, right?
That's one shot.
But this was Governor Polis and his partner, now his husband. And oddly enough, I did actually photograph their wedding. I don't typically do weddings, but
you did it
they
as a
called
favor.
me and begged me. And
Just in case you're just listening, Jocelyn Augustino is my guest, and she's a professional photographer. She does political history and monumental events. She goes out on, you get calls from FEMA like, yeah, we're leaving, right?
We're leaving, we're
You
going,
Get your
yeah,
stuff, you keep
yeah.
a bag packed. Do we have any more pictures that we got here? I know we have. She's got tons. Let's see what else we got here.
I don't know, that might, okay. So this photo was from the Pentagon after 9/11.
Oh.
So I live about 2 miles from the Pentagon in Alexandria, and the day, the day that I actually heard the plane hit as well, and so I went down that day and was taking pictures for USA Today and for Time Magazine at the time. And that night I called FEMA and asked them if they needed any help, because I didn't imagine that I would be taking pictures. And that was on Tuesday, which was September 11th that year. And on Wednesday, I was about to leave my house just to go over to FEMA, and they called me and they said, bring your gear, we're sending you into the Pentagon.
Wow.
And I got off the phone, I started hyperventilating, and I thought, God, I did not want to go in at all.
That's an amazing shot.
And
That's as inside as you can get.
yeah, and
All
so
right.
this was one of the search teams from Tennessee Task Force 1, and this was just, rescue dog, and as soon as he got up on the pile, it was so eerie, because, it was Ed and I in there,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the dog just started. But I've always really, I look at that photo and I can feel everything about it,
Yeah. I wasn't there, but I know what you mean, right? That's the
Yeah.
art of it all.
Yeah.
All right, next picture if you can.
Oh, right, so Hurricane,
This is the last one.
Okay.
so this is Hurricane Katrina. So the day before Katrina, like the hurricane came, I got a call, and I was actually up here at Queen Lake, where I try to spend most of my summer. And they said, hey, can you fly down tomorrow with the director at the time, who was Mike Brown? And that was actually at a time when we didn't have internet at Queen Lake. Like, I just don't think we had internet. So it was really great coming up here and not having any
just
outside
chilling out,
sources.
right?
And so I actually got to New Orleans the day before it hit, and I ended up seeing a lot of my firefighter, my firefighter friends, and
Right.
they said, hey, we're going, hurricane hit Monday, on a Monday, and that evening I was going down to New Orleans, to where...
Most people are trying to leave.
Yeah, I know.
You're flying in.
I always want somebody to say stop, but then I show them my credentials and
Yeah.
they say, come on through.
Yeah.
But what happened there was they were just doing rescues, and that baby happened to... There was a family that wasn't taking care of their baby. They were high, and they were just... It was a very unsafe place for that child, and so they ended up taking that baby, and that was, again, oddly enough, another one of my Tennessee friends. And I actually ran into him when I was in Mayfield, Kentucky.
Wow.
So it's once you're kind of in this, you can't get
It's a
away
small
from
world.
it. It really is.
The other day, I brought up a local Leominster name, and I said, hey, do you know this guy, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
And you said...
James knocked away, but he's...
And you
yes.
said... And you answered, you finished the sentence for me. All I said is
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah.
And you said, no way. And you started looking it up to see if he was from Leominster.
Yeah, I can't believe he's such a superstar, and he's
Yeah.
from Leominster.
Yeah, I forget the
But you have a
classes.
lot of superstars in Leominster.
Yeah. Well, I was explaining to you, I think, is it Paul Fusco, and who followed Bobby Kennedy back after the
yeah.
assassination. And
Yeah.
he was the only one, and he did the whole, he'd done a lot of other things too, as well as we're looking for. Look magazine is kind of like what
Yeah.
Time is today.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that talent. But it's a small world of you professional photographers, right?
Yeah.
You kind of all know each other.
I think at a certain level, you
Yeah.
do know you get to know a lot.
All right, so here's the tough question. 2 minutes left to go? 5 minutes? 4 minutes? 3 minutes left. All right. Well, the
30
ticker
seconds.
up there. Yeah. So if there's one picture that you have to say is the one, you only get one choice. What is it?
Oftentimes they say it's the one you haven't taken, right?
Yeah. But someone that's special to you that if somebody said,
I think that dog, you know, that was the dog inside the Pentagon with at Apple.
we're looking for
You know.
bodies at that particular
Well,
point.
yeah, I mean,
A plane had struck.
right.
Well, unthinkable. The unthinkable just happened.
But I think that was the day that America really changed.
Yeah.
You know, and it was such a cohesive country, you know, where people work together.
Yep.
I think that, you know, that whole incident, you know, we will always understand
Right.
that, you know, but I think that kids who learn about it today have, you know, just, it really was the day that changed America.
It's hard to explain. I remember I was in D.C. Right after that, and I remember those gunners on every corner, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is kind of freaky, you know? I mean, this
Yeah.
is really, it was strange.
Yeah.
All right, Jocelyn was my guest, and you can find her. How do people find you? Because you've got tons of stuff on your website.
You know, probably the photos by Jocelyn is my Instagram. And of course my website, which is my whole name, which I don't know. It's you know,
loaded.
JocelynAugustino.com, but
Yeah.
that's a long.
That's okay. AUGUSTINO.
Yeah, I guess I start with JOCELYN.
Yep.
AUGUSTINO.com
There you
has a
go.
lot
And
of my
there's
work.
tons of stuff. I was looking at it the other day. There's tons of stuff on there. All right, we're going to just, we got, what, is this 35 seconds, 2 minutes? I'm all confused here.
Hey, thanks for
anyway,
having me.
Thanks for coming on.
No,
That was
thanks
great.
for
I
having
finally got you on, and you're all nervous about it. I said, don't worry about it. You're just going to come on, you know? I know you're usually behind the scenes, so you don't like
Right.
this
No,
upfront
I
stuff. But anyway, thanks for coming on. We'll get you again, and you'll be heading back to D.C. shortly.
Someday.
The longer you're out here, the more you like it, right? Not a bad gig. All right, just so you know, we'll be updating you tomorrow on our morning briefing at 9 o'clock. And yeah, everything's going well. I mean, a great team behind us. We've had so much help from so many agencies. We'll wrap all that up at one particular point, but we're trying to get out there and help as many people, as many situations as we possibly can. All right, we're out of time here at Inside Leominster. I want to thank you for watching. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You got to show up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
This is LTV.